Hello, welcome to episode 156 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1,001 movies you must see before you die. Another kind of, well not another, but this is definitely a different kind of episode for this series because I felt like it wasn't worth us watching this film again and talking about it again when we've already done so in a video I've never released. Toy Story, 1995. We talked about this, I think, 2 years ago. It was when Inside Out just came out. Yeah, it was
I never know what movie he's going to say.
Inside Out had just come out, and we were going to do this big series talking about all the Pixar films. So we reviewed Inside Out, and then we watched Toy Story, and we did this fairly lengthy review about it. And so I just feel like I should just give you that footage now, because I don't think our opinion on Toy Story is going to change since 2015.
No, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, so, you know, you're going to see me looking a little bigger in the cheeks probably and with longer hair, but it is what it is, and I feel like we should just show you that footage and then come back at the end and judge about whether it's a film you should see before you die. So here's that footage. So we just watched Toy Story, and that's what we'll be talking about now. The first ever Pixar film, 1995, the first ever full feature-length CGI film as well. It was pretty much a historic film in cinema history, because animation had been a staple of cinema since the beginning, pretty much. From the 30s, pretty much, I guess, is when it really was, with Snow White probably. That was like the first huge mega hit kind of, well, I don't even know if it was a mega hit, but it's like the classic one that people go back to. And then Disney, throughout the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then other animation studios came up, and then Studio Ghibli in Japan, and all sorts of films. But then once Toy Story happened, it changed everything. Absolutely changed everything. Give it 5 years after Toy Story, hand-drawn animation, pretty much dead. And then by 2005, 10 years after it, no one's doing them. No one's doing them at all.
To watch it.
I think Disney did the Princess and the Frog in the late 2000s, and that was kind of like almost a novelty, like a return. Just do one of these for once, and then obviously Studio Ghibli were doing kind of hand drawn stuff. But
yeah, but Princess and the Frog, that was animated, wasn't it? That wasn't.
That was hand drawn.
Was it?
Yeah. I don't know when it came out, but it's like,
maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
It's like number 49 in the Disney Animated Classics series, and number 50 was Tangled. I know Tangled was like 2009, 2010.
Yeah,
so.
and that one's not hand drawn.
No, that's digital. Yeah. So, I mean, it took over everything. Then you go to DreamWorks.
Digital.
You go to DreamWorks. You go to like Shrek and films like that, and every big animated film now is CGI. It's just the norm. It's just
the future.
Well, it's not the future. It's the present. We're living it. That's what all animated films are now. and Toy Story started all that. Now going back to it, we're in its 20th anniversary year now, 1995. Watching it on Blu-ray, I definitely see how it's aged. Did you notice this?
What?
Toy Story. It didn't look as good as it used to.
No, of course not.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, like, even just the facial movements you look at and go, wow, that's not really that great. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the film.
It's funny though.
It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the film though, because the characters are so funny and
but not just
it's
that,
so enjoyable.
like the textures.
The textures as well.
And the hair. I guess.
And also the faces of the humans, they hadn't quite got that down to a good
No, and
thing yet.
the eyes of the dog were really bothering me, because they were really horrible, really. Like,
and
that was the worst part of the whole thing, I think.
And there's some textures in the film that almost look like low quality, like if you save a picture that's like low quality JPEG, like some of the textures looked a little bit rough around the edges kind of thing. But there were still some things that I was really impressed by.
I'm gonna put my glasses on for that.
Yeah, there's some things I was still really impressed by, like the scene where Woody is trapped underneath the crate in Sid's room, and he's trying to get Buzz to knock the toolbox off. Just like the texture of the crate that he's in, like the ruggly kind of texture, like we have in the Coke glasses. That was really realistic. So there's like little details, like the skirting board in the house had loads of scuffs and marks, like a normal one would. So lots of detail was put in, but it's just like some of the main characters' faces looked a bit dated. But it is the first one of its kind, and it's not like.
That's why they did toys.
Yeah. That's probably what made it work,
Yeah.
If you tried to do one with it might have been scoffed at if they tried to go with the full, human cast or whatever. But anyway, the film itself is really special to me because I was just the perfect age for it. I was 7 years old, and just loved everything about it. It was just.
Really?
Yeah, I had it on VHS and I just watched it over and over again. And watching it now, I realise how ingrained it is in my memory. Like every time a line was said, I was thinking the next line in my head. not throughout the whole film, but for most of it, you know, I was just so, it took me back to being a kid in a way, and it didn't make me like really emotional, but just a little bit of, you know, that kind of, you know, just childhoodness, you know.
I think the first time I watched Toy Story was probably like within the last 5 years or something.
Because
I watched a lot of the other ones, but Toy Story was kind of like the last ones. I don't know. When Toy Story came out and around the time that was really popular, I guess I was in a state in my head where I didn't want to watch or do anything that was popular. I wanted to do the opposite. So maybe that's why. People were like, oh, you've seen Toy Story. I was like, no. Because you've seen it. I don't want to see that. I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it now.
Great bit at the beginning where Woody and Bo Peep are talking, and she's saying like, oh, remember, I'm just a few blocks away, and she's walking past a couple of blocks, like, you know, building blocks, and he's like he just has this look in his face, like he's.
I mean, that's like.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so funny. I mean,
it's a weird look.
Even though it looks crudely animated now, 20 years later, it still works, and it's just really funny. And you got Tom Hanks and Tim Allen doing Woody and Buzz. They're just amazing.
Oh, it's Tim Allen.
They're just so funny. Tim Allen is just like, I love him so much.
Tom Hanks is great, though.
You are a sad, sad little man, and you have my pity. Like, I remember, like, my stepdad loving the humor in the film, like, and quoting it and stuff, and I found that weird at the time that an adult would find a kid's movie so funny. But there are those jokes in there that are, there's always that kind of golden ground where you can put a joke in a kid's film that works for an adult, but the kids won't figure out, you know, without going too far.
Well, yeah, they have a lot of those things. I just saw a video on it on YouTube yesterday, and one of the things they have in Toy Story is, you know, the toys that bad kid is like taking the heads off and putting on different toys and stuff. And then there's this Barbie doll whose legs are put on a
fishing rod.
No, it's a hook.
It's a fishing rod with a hook on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. With
a hook. And so they say like, well, that's a hooker. And there's a bouncer in there as well or something. Yeah. So that's kind of funny. And then just like the way Woody is reacting to, I mean, Woody. What kind of name is that? Anyways, what? No.
Oh, come on, don't be childish now. Come on.
Okay, fine, but the way he's reacting to that spin around doll thingy,
right.
The shepherd's girl.
Yeah.
It's just he's like, oh, you know, like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's not like kids humor. That's adult humor.
I forgot what the line was. She said something to him like, "Oh, maybe we should hang out sometime or something." And he's like, "Yeah," like that, you know.
Yeah.
I forgot what the line is, but he reacts kind of like, "Oh yeah."
And there's one in the second or the third movie. I think it's the third movie where
I've only
that
seen
cowgirl.
No, that's the second one.
Okay, where the cowgirl comes in and she does something really cool and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Buzz, his wings just bang.
Really?
Comes up, yeah.
Wow. We'll have
so that's kind of like a
we'll get to that
he's
one
just
soon,
like
so.
Looking at her and then boing, his wings comes up. So that's kind of like an adult reference thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they do put those things in for the adults so they can and the kids will be like, that's funny, his wings came up. Yeah, that's the only thing that came up.
At least Pixar doesn't have like some of the stuff you see in like the Disney films.
Well,
like
I don't even know if those things are real, to be honest.
They
are. I haven't
are.
played through a Disney movie to check if they're there because sometimes I just think it's just, you know.
Good girls take off their clothes.
Huh?
Sex. Like there's a bit in Aladdin where you hear someone whispering to Jasmine like, "Good girls take off their clothes." Like, and
no, you've seen that on YouTube. Have you seen that in the actual movie?
Yeah, I've seen the actual, but I think it just sounds like it, and people are trying to turn it into something else. Also in The Lion King, when Simba's grown up.
Yeah, Sex in the Clouds.
Yeah, but it's not sex; it's SFX for special effects.
Yeah.
So you know, and
they
then
changed it into.
And
what
then
they
is it that guy, the priest in Little Mermaid, and it's like a little knob just drops down, like a little boner poking out of his shorts.
Yes.
And it's like, boom, like that, and then they're saying, "Oh, it's his knee," you know, and.
Why would his knee be up there?
And in Beauty and the Beast, you got the people dancing around doing the New World Order sign, you know, the Illuminati and all that. It's weird stuff in Disney films that they pop in. There's also like a...
Angry people. Kidding.
There's also like a magazine cutout or a poster in The Rescuers of like a woman with her tits out as well. that they took out of the film. Like, that was actually in a film originally, and then they had to delete
that's
it.
just crossing the line, because that seems like angry people putting it in there.
It might be. I mean,
But in Pixar, that's just with the rings coming up, where them reacting like, "Ah, cowabunga" or whatever. You know?
Cowabunga.
I don't know. Like, it's a way for them to show like, hey, let's get some or something. You know, that's the kind of humor they're putting in there. But it's funny.
Yeah.
It's not like they put a boner on Woody, because that would be inappropriate.
Oh, but with a name like Woody, it might be.
It would fit the name. But I'm just saying.
Let's move on.
Disney, if those things are true, that's just crossing the line, and it's disgusting.
It is. The Rescuers one.
In Pixar, it's funny.
Yeah, Pixar's the Disney one, The Rescuers, with the topless woman. I'm sure that the story is they did that because it was before the time of home video, where you could freeze frame and see it, and then they had to remove it. I'm pretty sure that's a story. Might be wrong, but I'm almost 100% sure on that. Anyway.
Fucked up heads.
I know. Right, so Toy Story, anything else you want to add? I love the music, Randy Newman, you know, his style of music is not something I'd listen to a lot, but it fits perfectly with the film. You know, You Got a Friend in Me, and just all the songs in the film. I had the soundtrack CD when I was a kid. Used to play it all the time, loved it. So yeah, obviously very different histories with the film, but...
Yeah, it's just, now I'm also like, when I'm looking at it, it's a click then. When I'm looking at it, watching it, I'm looking for mistakes as well as things that are good, because I want to, you know...
Yeah.
I got to see it with the eyes of my future professional, whatever. And I noticed when Buzz is flying around in the room, when he's standing on that car roller coaster track thingy.
Yeah.
And his wing would not fit when he's about to go into that loop, because his wings are sticking out, and they would crash into it, and that bugs me a little bit. But yeah,
I noticed a similar mistake when they're at the gas station, and the big truck pulls up, and Woody just kind of like collapses on the floor, and then the wheel comes just up to his head. The wheel that comes up to his head is one in the middle of the truck, so he would have had to have gotten run over. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, it's almost...
That's really annoying. Why did you tell me that? Oh, it's rude enough.
Just so many...
And also the fact that he just stayed under there, even though he's underneath the truck. Why did he get up after? Like, it's not like he could see under the truck.
I don't know.
Anyways, and where did Buzz go?
The film's just...
Why didn't he hide?
to me, the film is almost perfect. I just love it. It's such a fun film. Not very long either, obviously, because it's the first one they did. They were kind of breaking new ground and stuff. Excuse me. But yeah.
But it's also like a typical Pixar thing. It's got humor and it's got a little bit of action, but it also has that sad thing and a moral to the story.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's like a thing that goes through all of the movies, I feel.
It's just a classic film, you know, it really is. It started everything in terms of CGI animated films, which I love them, you know, but I love hand-drawn animation too, so I'm split on that. I wish that there was still a good medium of it, but it really is CGI dominating the animated films.
Because they know how much longer it takes.
But I'm glad that going completely off topic, I'm glad that the stop motion is still a thing, and that's still coming out every couple of years. You get a good stop motion animated film.
Yeah, it's faster than drawing.
Yeah, but so many great bits in the film. I was just thinking then about the gas station scene when Buzz is like, "Oh, I need to go in and put a seatbelt on," and he puts the seatbelt on. And he just taps it, kind of like, "Yeah." You know, just little details. I mean, I just love all the little things in the Pixar films, and you can probably watch them over and over again and find little things that you enjoy. And so there we go. Toy Story, awesome film, 10 out of 10 for me. You don't have to rate it that just because I have. What would you give it a rating?
Well, because it's original, I feel like it needs extra points.
Yeah.
It's the first of its kind, but if I'm going to compare it to all the other Pixar movies, it's going to be dropped down a little bit. So I'm really not sure. 9?
9? Okay.
Maybe 9.5. If I was going to rate it like 5 years ago, maybe it would have been a 10, but since I'm seeing those little things and so on,
that's fair.
And I'm comparing it to the other Pixar movies,
for me, no.
Maybe a 9.
9.5.
Okay. 9.25. There you go.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. 9.25 out of 10.
Yeah.
I rate it purely for the film it is, not just my emotional attachment to it. I think no film was perfect, really. You know, I think the best film of all time is Seven Samurai, and there's still little bits in that, the mistakes and stuff, so I don't really judge it too harshly.
And you couldn't even nitpick anything out of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
No, exactly. Well, anyway, we can just go off topic on film. So
yeah,
thank you for watching.
Let's just
That's
say
Toy
bye.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, this video has turned into one of Sid's Frankenstein creations, hobbled together through various different sources. Before we get to the final wrap up with me and Connie, I wanted to just touch on a few more things that I thought was worth talking about as far as Toy Story goes. I can't see me making a video about it again. Just some of the memorable scenes that really stand out to me at the beginning, when the little soldiers, they kind of like parachute downstairs to find out about the birthday presents and what the new toys are going to be. Such a great scene, such a great idea. The final scene with the chase and the moving truck is just so brilliantly put together, and I remember getting so excited when I was a kid watching that scene every single time. It was just so tense, so fun, and such a release when it all goes well at the end. Just so many great scenes in the film, bottom line. And when I was a kid in school in 1996, I still have my school book where I was writing about movies, and one of the things that I wrote about was that Toy Story was the first ever CGI film, and that it was the first fully computer-generated animated film, and that it's almost as I forget the terminology that I used, but I was comparing it to the transition from black and white to colour film, and that it was going to be the future of movies. And while my words weren't quite as prophetic as an 8-year-old, there's certainly a little bit of weight to that. You know, the CGI animated films have become such a huge moneymaker in the business of movies, and like I said earlier, is now the industry standard as far as animated movies go. So it really is seeing the birth of a form of cinema, and that's quite exciting to see, I think, because I wasn't sure how those films would pan out when I was a kid. I thought, is this the new novelty, or is this going to take over what we already know and what we've grown up with? And in some ways I do lament the loss of traditionally hand-drawn animation, and I hope that it doesn't become an art form that's completely lost over the generations, because that'd be a real shame. I at least like seeing a different mix and seeing those hand-drawn animated films. And also finally with Toy Story, just the concept of these toys coming to life when the kid isn't around, and having their own little, you know, system and schedule and days and stuff and events that they plan and things like that. And when I was a kid, I had the toys. I had Woody and I had Buzz, and I would leave them upstairs in my room at my dad's house. I'd run back upstairs to see if they'd moved, you know. So you really get in. It's just such a perfect thing to capture the imagination of a child. So I think that that's it's pretty much the perfect kids film. Anyway, on with the final wrap up with me and Connie. Just some extra thoughts I wanted to add in there before we finish this thing up. So here we go. Okay, so is Toy Story a film you should see before you die?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
It's the first of its kind.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
That's when it all started with the 3D animation, you know?
Even on that alone, even if it wasn't that great of a film. Well, okay, maybe not, but it's a great film.
Yeah.
And it really is the start of something that has become such a staple of animated storytelling these days.
And one of the things that made me want to become what I'm about to become.
Right, yeah. I don't know if you had the ambition to get into that stuff 2 years ago.
I started school 2 years ago.
Was it 2? Yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
So when it must have been literally right on the cusp of you starting.
So I was probably really, really intrigued about it.
Good, yeah, sure.
Because that was before I even learned anything about it.
Right, so there you go. That feels like nothing for us. Obviously, we talked about it for 15 plus minutes 2 years ago, but hopefully that worked as a video. I'm sure everything we said was fine, and we wouldn't want to go back on.
I probably have changed some views though. If I watched it again now,
more critical,
then,
maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. True.
Well, like, the shadows.
Yeah.
It looks a little too CGI.
I think I remember saying that some of it doesn't quite hold up in terms of, being the first one and isn't as crisp as we remember. Anyway, we've already talked about it, so thank you for watching. Hope this video worked out okay, and we'll see you in the next one. And there's a yawn to end it off with.